Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Today, we are going to talk about essay writing for UPSC in specific. A lot of aspirants always think and are slightly puzzled about how to deal with essay writing. A lot of it has to do about the fact that we all have actually written essays in our schools and colleges, and some of the aspirants think that it's not a big deal when they actually get nearer to means they'll deal with it. Some of the people who are not so sure about writing are always sort of worried about how they will tackle it, and so overall it's a puzzle for a lot of them. But then in my experience now, I've been teaching for almost 10 years. I have taught in Delhi, I've taught in many places in Maharashtra. My overall understanding is more people lose out on getting good marks in essay is because overconfidence and lack of preparation, and not because they are not actually ready for competition. It is my general understanding, if they were prepared a little better, if they had tried or made an effort to understand the subject little better, they wouldn't be in this problem at all. And so we have been making consistent efforts that we talk about essay writing right from the beginning of the courses. We talk about it like these, through these mediums, where we can talk about it through webinars, we can talk about it through with students whenever it is possible, because the whole subject has a lot of weightage. It is as good as any other paper in your mains exam, where every paper is for 250 marks, and but with much lesser effort you can actually get there and get much better marks there, right? So we are going to talk about it today. We are going to see how and when we can start preparing. What is it that actually gets us to do better in essay writing? When is the right time to start? Let's say if you're preparing for 2021 attempt, if you are preparing for 2022 attempt, what would be the ideal time for you to start about, and then generally understanding what does UPSC really want when they are asking you to write essays. So we are going to answer a lot of questions that students might have in their mind. And even if you are one of them who know a little bit about essay writing, who have seen scheme of the exam, there's still going to be few things that I think you will gain in terms of perspective today, and we'll learn to look at this paper from new angle altogether, right? Let me put up the presentation. Once I have the presentation up, we can perhaps discuss a few more things. Just 1 second, give me a second. Right. So as we are saying that actually preparing for essay well is a very fruitful investment, because UPSC is a huge scheme of exam. Unlike yours exams in schools and colleges, it's not so. It's an exam for there are 7 papers and you have to choose one optional, and you might already know the scheme of the exam. Each paper is for 250 marks, which is very rarely people would have written one paper for 250 marks in their college life, even in their college life. And so in a way it's an exam scheme which is new to many of us, and in that one needs to be very careful about where are you spending your energies, because it's an exam scheme which is very long, which comes with a lot of tasks, a lot of challenges that frankly speaking our education has not prepared us for. And so one needs to be very judicious about how and where you are spending your energies. In that way, I want to speak and I want to say how sort of preparing for essay writing might be a good investment. Even starting about it a little bit early also can prove very beneficial towards end of your efforts when you're actually writing your mains. So let's get into it. Let's start seeing one by one what it is about. So let's start with very basic introduction. I'm assuming that some of you might actually be very well versed with what exam demands, but then there are surely going to be some of the listeners, some of the viewers who don't know exactly. So I'm going to also tell very basic things, and then we will go to understanding it in much depth. So it is for 3 hours. It's part of the main exam, and has maximum allocation of 250 marks. As I was saying earlier, like any other paper in main exam scheme, it has 250 marks. So you might have heard that GS1, GS2, GS3, and GS4. All these 4 papers are also for 250 marks. Along with that, there are optional paper. You have to select a subject for optional, uh, for which you have 2 papers. They are again for 250 marks each, and then on top of that, this is essay paper, which is for 250 marks. So if you want, what I'm trying to say here is all these papers have, in terms of marks, equal weightage, and you have to write it in 3 hours. Since 2014, in the essay paper, a candidate has to choose 2 topics. one from each of the sections A and B. Prior to 2014, that is till 2013, candidates were asked to write only one essay out of 6 given subjects. But then after that exam pattern changed, the scheme changed, and then now you have 2 essays to write about. When I say 2 essays, they in each of the section you would be given 4 choices. In section A there will be 4 topics, in section B there will be 4 topics, and you have to choose one from each section. And both these essays are for 250 marks, so that means that one essay is for 125 marks. And the prescribed length for each essay is 1000 to 1200 words. Also, they are slightly they make sure and say that no essay should be more than 1200 words. So if you write anything little bit, let's say 1100 words, 1050 words, that's okay. But then they have specifically mentioned that you should not write more than 1200 words. So this is one thing that that is very carefully they have said. Now we are going to talk about section A and section B also a little later. But then here I just want you to note down and sort of make a mental note that there are 2 sections, and these 2 sections come with their own demands. These two sections come with their own demands. What they want from you from each section is not similar. It's not like you have to write one essay and then another essay, and there's no qualitative difference between these 2 essays. There is surely difference between what they're expecting from you from these 2 essays. Let us look at it a little later. But then as of now, these are the basics for the exam. Now, when you are approaching essay writing for UPSC, what needs to happen, and this is what I have been saying, and I always tell it even in my first class, that what needs to happen for essay writing is there needs to be difference in approach. Many times when I have been teaching this subject for a while now, and when I start teaching this subject in actual classrooms, what I see there is this, like, air of sort of uh, not so much excitement in class, because everybody has written essays, right? So there is this air about, okay, you say what you want to say, let me decide if I have to take anything from what you're saying. And that's not a very good approach to start this subject, because that's only detrimental to your preparation. From where do students get this confidence? Because there is hardly going to be anyone who has not written any essay in their life. We have written essays, but then the knowledge or the thinking that we have written enough essays actually puts us back, actually sets us back in terms of preparation for UPSC. Let me say a little more. So essay paper in UPSC demands a lot of critical thinking, a lot of ability to analyze facts. It also demands that you formulate your own opinions. It's not something that we have actually done in schools and colleges. In schools and colleges, a lot of our essays that we wrote were what is known as descriptive essays. Descriptive essays is when you have to describe ideas. So right from beginning, if you remember what we wrote in schools, essays like my school, or Diwali celebrations at home, it's very simple topics that we wrote. What they are trying to get us to do is being able to describe something. Maybe in your graduation level you did write few essays which were slightly complicated, although I doubt it. If you are from science background or if you're from commerce background, you hardly have to write any essays. It might only be in your English paper. But then again, not much critical thinking is expected. Even if you describe with certain kind of flow, with certain kind of structure, you would get almost 70-80% of the marks, right? Now that is not what is expected here. The expectation is much different than what it is in our earlier academic life. So I want to sort of make a common appeal that all of us needs to understand that there is going to be a bit of unlearning when we try and do essay writing here. Surely there's going to be learning, but then there's also going to be some kind of unlearning. Let me say something more about this. All of us, no matter from where you are listening to me, you might be anywhere in India, we have certain specific ideas about how essays need to be written, right? One of the things is flowery language. Somebody somewhere has told us that if you're writing an essay, it cannot be just a simple language, simple conversational language. It has to be also a display of exhibition of your linguistic abilities. Now, while that might have been true for school and colleges, that's not exactly true or 100% true for your UPSC essay writing. Here, it's not just display of language, or sometimes it's not even display of language at all. It's display of ideas, it's display of your thought process. And so we need to sort of unlearn that when we write essays, it has to be in flowery language. And if you get it right, maybe the energy that you spend on getting flowery language right, getting articulation very impressive, maybe that energy can be used somewhere else in making your arguments better, in getting better points while writing. So that is one thing. Second thing is, many times we have been led to believe that you need to know good quotations, good couplets, or excerpts from poems. Only then you can sort of maneuver through your essay. Now that's absolutely not true. I have seen many candidates, I've seen many successful candidates who have written essays without writing a single quotation and have gotten excellent marks in essays, right? So there are a lot of things that we think or hold to be true because I don't know, somehow our education system has grilled that into us, which is not true at all. So there is a bit of unlearning that needs to do now. I mean that needs to be done for all of us. Another thing is, what we actually called essays were not even essays. That is what is known as composition writing. Now, what is composition writing? When you have a subject at hand and you sort of compose series of paragraphs which have some kind of flow and which also displays some of the ideas of the writer, but then it's mainly composing of few paragraphs which are about certain topics. Because then how long were the essays that we wrote? It was not more than 400, 500 words, right? I doubt that anybody wrote essays which is more than 1,000 words or more than 1,200 words. So here you have been asked to write 1,200 words about one subject, which is an uphill task. It's not something that will come to a common student very easily, because education system never has demanded that of us. What education system demanded when they said essay, it was actually composition writing. So we also need to understand that a lot of us, unless you have done your graduation or perhaps your masters from one of the universities, central universities, where they asked you to write your assignments in forms of essays which were really essays. Otherwise, most of us have just written compositions, and they don't stand a match for when you think of essays. So there is something that we need to learn right from the beginning, how to do it, and plus also unlearn, because we are sort of confused about what we have been doing till now. So one thing is, we understand the demands better. What is UPSC exactly expecting? Understand that what we have been doing is slightly different than what is the expectation now, and then followed by that we do the right amount of learning and right amount of unlearning. Only then you're going to get near to writing good essays, right? So this is also very, very important. This sort of different approach is required when you look at essay writing in UPSC. Now, if you know anything about scheme of the exam, as I was just telling you, there are other general studies papers, and many times essay topics that are asked are also sort of in tandem with relevant to other general studies subjects that you learn. For example, in GS3 you learn economics, and there are always going to be some essays that are about economy or in development. And so one is it's very easy to sort of think that, okay, if I prepare enough for GS, then I don't need to do anything for essay writing, right? Because I'm slogging so hard for my GS topics. If I just get that right, I'll just learn everything for my general studies and come to essay paper and write those ideas here, and that will be it. And then again, you might be very well prepared for GS. As I said, maybe your preparation is very robust. Maybe you know all the statistics, maybe you know all the perspectives that need to be known. And then one might say, okay, then nothing else needs to be done for essays. Now, is that true? Is it true that just preparing well for GS will sail you through for your essay writing? Here I want to give, slightly detailed answer. It is true that you will require robust GS preparation. You cannot write a good essay without preparing well for GS. That I'll give it to you. That's very true. However, it's not enough. It is necessary, but it is not sufficient. So, if you have studied logic, they would tell you about these things. It's a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. So it is necessary that you study well for your GS topics, because that is where from you're going to get concepts, perspectives, a general awareness about world. However, that might not be enough, because you might have seen in your own life that people who have excellent ideas might not know how to convey them, or people who are learned, people who are who hold a lot of facts with them, might not know how to actually convey it to them to others, or might not know how to communicate those things to others. So knowing something has very poor relevance to being able to convey it to somebody else. And so essay writing is also about that skill, about being able to convey your ideas and facts that you know and arguments that you can build to somebody else. So yes, in some sense it is true that you need to prepare well, but then, as I said, that's not going to be enough. Plus I also have another sort of way in which you should look at this whole thing. We talked about section A and section B, right? So why are these two sections there? Because section A, one of these sections, sometimes it keeps changing, one of these sections is going to be about philosophical topics, is going to be about abstract ideas, ideas like beauty, ideas like justice, truth, character, greed. All of these things have been sort of, all of these themes have been repeatedly asked in one of the sections. These are sometimes, these essay topics sometimes come in form of quotations, sometimes they come in form of simply a statement which is a powerful idea. And then to be able to write that, just GS preparation is not going to be enough. Although GS4, which is ethics, prepares you a bit for this kind of philosophizing, because ethics itself has a bit of philosophizing, the ability to be able to think about something in philosophical terms. But then there are always going to be some topics where ethics is not again going to be enough. You need to possess the ability of what is known as higher order thinking. You need to acquaint yourself with complex ideas, how to unravel them, how to say it in a manner that the reader will sort of understand and would tend to agree with what you are saying. You also need to know how to put forward justifications. So one of the sections is has nothing to do with GS topics, and you I mean, most in all situations you are going to be forced to write about one philosophical topic or abstract topics. And then no matter how hard you have slogged for GS, it's not going to come to your rescue. Maybe for the other section, where, as I was saying, an essay about economics, essay about social issues, essay about democracy, or let's say polity, policy, all these things you might draw from your preparation for GS topics. But then there is half of the marks from this paper which are going to come from who you are as a person, how well you have prepared your writing skills. And so, as I said, surely go ahead and prepare well. Keep in mind that all that is going to be all that you prepare for GS is going to be useful for essay, but then you also need to do something more than that, right? uh, we are calling it a fruitful investment. So what is it investment about? So it is investment in terms of marks, and also about gaining maturity, I think. Because when you are aspiring to be a civil servant, it's sort of, a kind of a job, a kind of a sort of career path which requires a lot of maturity right from the beginning. Although there are things that you need to learn on the job, when you actually go there, only then you can learn few things. But then only those candidates are selected which are sort of ready for that kind of challenge. Essay is one of the places where you can show that you're ready for that kind of challenge, you're ready for that kind of somebody else taking chance on you, because it's actually 1200 words for one subject, one topic, and 1200 words for another topic, where you get a lot to express yourself. There's a lot of playground for you to actually put forward ideas, in a way tell your reader who you are. And straightforward, if you want to just think about marks, out of 250 marks, if you see out of all the papers, let's leave out optional for now, because many times optionals can be subjects like maths, or even other optionals can be very, very highly scoring. But then out of GS papers, essay is one of the papers where you're going to get maximum marks. If you see students, even in last couple of years, are getting 150, 155 out of 250, which is remarkable. Because in all other GS papers, I don't know how much you know about, again, of the scheme of the exam and the marking system. Getting anywhere around 100 or sometimes even crossing 90, it's considered very respectable. Generally getting 40% marks, so 40% of 250 is 100, right? So getting 100 also is considered very, very respectable. And most of the people who get high ranks would have crossed it. But then undoubtedly essay is something that is going to put you ahead. So if you sort of start investing right now, start thinking about what you want to do about it right now, you are always going to sort of be one step ahead than your competitors, because it is something which is, as I said, there is something called as cost benefit ratio. So in terms of how much efforts are required, the benefits are always much better than many other subjects. And so it is my sincere appeal to all of the listeners, all of the viewers, that think about all of these things. It's a competitive exam. Nobody is here to sort of get you a master's degree or get you a doctorate. It's for it. No, whether we like it or not, it is in a way to prove that you are better than many of your competitors. So you also need to think about strategizing your exam. I always say for a competitive exam, you need two things: good substance and good strategy. Because it's sure that without substance, you're not going to get ahead. You need very good substance. When I say substance, I mean quality of your content. So you need very good quality of your content in your answer writing. But it's also the strategy that is going to help you. If you are strategizing your exam well, there are higher chances that ultimately you will get better marks, right? So essay is one of those key factors which is always going to change subtotal of your marks in your main exam. And so it makes a lot of sense to start thinking about it early and start thinking about what can be done. Now, as I was saying earlier, if GS preparation is not enough, uh, and there is something else that needs to be done, what is it that they're actually, what it is that a good essay has, or what it is that is required in a good essay. So any essentials of essay writing is information. You need to be an informed adult. You cannot be somebody who really doesn't know how things work or how world works. You need to know statistics, you need to know a lot of facts, you need to know general awareness about world. And that is the maturity part that I was saying. So when you prepare for essay writing, you start gathering all this information, you start gathering all the perspectives around information, and that also sort of makes you a more matured aspirant. That might also be one of the ways in which you can stand out from other aspirants, other competitors. Another is format. Now some of you, again, when we even did composition writing in schools and colleges, we have maybe sometimes worked about format, that how should the introduction be, or what shall I do in main content of my essay, main body of my essay, how should my conclusion look like, how should I connect all of these three things. So that's a very preliminary understanding of essay writing. When you just say introduction, body and conclusion, surely that's a framework, that's a structure, but then there's a lot more that can be done in terms of framework or structure. For example, I'm just giving you an example. For example, are you going to approach this in terms of problem solution? So for example, are you going to present problems and then present solutions, or are you going to write a comparative structure? For example, there can be a problem at hand, let's say higher education, challenges for higher education in India. Then one can write all the problems that higher education in India is facing and then write solutions for it. However, one can also write a comparative essay. Comparative essay is when you say that it can be comparison between states. What are the different states facing in terms of higher education, challenges in terms of higher education? It can also be comparison of India with similar countries. So either you can go to BRICS countries, where we all have been put together based on various indices, or you can also, very interesting comparison is all the countries who sort of gained independence at the same time, who came out of colonization at the same time. So if you see, can you compare education systems, higher education systems in China and India and Israel? So what is different, and where are they, and what are they gaining through those education structures? Now again, to be able to write such a demanding essay, you need to have a lot of information. But structure can't be just introduction, main content and conclusion. Within that you can have lots of structures. So there can be, we are also going to discuss a lot of these structures. There can be something called as proof conclusion. So we are going to get around it and see how can we do it better. So as I was saying, surely you need information, you need to have some understanding of format or framework and structure. And sure, you need language. When I was saying in the beginning that we are all stuck in flowery language, although I still don't think that flowery language is what is required, but a good articulation which is good enough, articulation that gets your ideas across, is surely required. Language is required in terms of expressing your ideas and in terms of presenting ideas in certain flow, in certain manner that your writing becomes convincing for your reader. Surely language is required. So if you, for example, if you don't know enough verbal phrases, if you don't know enough idioms, if you don't know enough, let's say, ways in which language sort of gets you to the meaning, you might be short a limb, but then still, that is something a lot of you can work on, especially people who are preparing for 2022. Surely can start working on all of these things, because you have a long time ahead of you, and not only investing in essay writing as such, but in investing in improving your language is going to help you through all, across all GS papers, across your main exam, because UPSC main exam is all about writing answers, right? Being able to write, being able to get your ideas across, only then you are going to get a chance to present yourself in person for interview. So I mean, sort of bar for that is being able to present yourself through language. So language surely is expected that you will have a certain standard for language. And as I was saying in the beginning, some kind of ability to put forward analysis, some kind of ability to have, to make logical arguments, to make better deductive arguments, not get strangled in inductive arguments. All of this is going to be very, very important. So this is what generally essay writing going to look like, where you have to work on all four of these things. I'm going to go more in depth now with this subject. I'm going to spend some time in understanding what is it that UPSC demands, because every year that when they give out notification, every year they give out a notification declaring when exams are, and in that notification they would have given syllabus and expectation for every paper. Now it is interesting to see what do they say when it comes for essay writing, right? So for essay writing, every year there are these similar 4-5 sentences, and what I have tried to do is I have tried to make sense of those 4-5 sentences and I put it in bullet points in order to understand what is it that they're exactly looking for when they're asking for aspirants to write essays. So as I said, there are two sections. So we are going to see both the sections, and we are going to see demands for both the sections. Now, I have told you briefly that one section is about essay topics where they are related to GS papers, and other is about more philosophical, topics of more philosophical nature. Let me go through one by one. So there are section with essay topics related to or similar to GS papers. Now, in that again, what I'm just going to say few topics. Economics, as I said earlier, then policy, polity is going to be another thing, public administration. Then there's always going to be something about democracy or governance. That is also one thing that they always ask. Rarely do they ask about international relations, but then sometimes it comes, and international relations is something last couple of years it was asked. So international relations is another thing, and then you have this whole gambit of education and women empowerment. So those are also the topics, slightly less frequently asked, but then they do ask it. We are going to see list of topics also, but then when I say essay topics related to GS papers, these are the topics that I'm talking about, right? Now what is demand here? Facts, right? You cannot write essay here saying that I think this way of thinking is right because I think so. That's not going to be enough. Everything that you are going to claim, everything that you are going to put forward as part of your argument needs to be based on facts. And I cannot emphasize it enough, especially in the times where fake news is so rampant, where believing anything that you see on internet is actually, like, impossible, and everything needs to be fact checked thrice or 4 times. It's very necessary that you know your facts, you know the even sources of your facts, that from where are you getting those facts. Second is you need to have arguments with definite conclusions. I'll say what I mean by definite conclusions. For example, if there is an essay which says science boon or bane, Like, do you understand what is boon or bane? Like, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing, right? So if there is a topic like science, boon or bane, remember what we wrote in schools and colleges. We said, oh, let me be very balanced in what I'm writing. So I'm going to write science has its own benefits also. Science is bad also. It depends on who uses it. And so science in itself is not good or bad. It depends on who uses it. Now, this kind of arguments are not going to work every time in UPSC. That is because this kind of writing where there's no definite conclusion anybody can give. But then what they're looking for, in fact, what they're looking for in you while selecting you as future administrator is a decision maker. So it makes a lot of sense that you make yourself capable of taking a stance, knowing how to defend it, and give proper justification for your stance. So these arguments where you say, yes, yes, let us take good from here, let us take good from here, and let us avoid all bad, then our country will progress automatically. Those kinds of arguments are gone by. Those kinds of arguments are no more going to be useful. Here, you need to have facts, base your arguments on that, make sure that you have justifications for that, and most importantly, you have definite conclusions for that. Again, most of the topics that come in this section are going to be India centric. Now, sometimes it is very clearly given that they want you to discuss the issue for India alone. For example, they would have, I'm just telling you topic. There was this topic called, is tourism the next big thing for India? So they're asking you directly to write about tourism and its economics and based in India. There are no, there are no second guessing here. But then there are going to be cases where they don't mention explicitly the word India, but it is for you to understand. For example, there was a topic which said cooperative federalism. Maybe many of you don't know the term. Once you learn about it, you will know what it is. Cooperative federalism, myth or reality. Now, they are not saying cooperative federalism in India, but it is sort of understood because you might know a lot about cooperative federalism in the US. That's not what you're supposed to write about. You are supposed to write about the issue in India. So you can write about the issue which might be also happening someplace else, but then it's a sort of implicit understanding that you are supposed to keep this essay about India. And the idea here is you present facts, use straightforward language, argue based on what facts you have, and come to conclusion. So it's not much here about, as I was saying, writing it in flowery language, impressing your reader with couplets of poems, nothing like that. It's more like, here and now, very very reality based analysis of our surroundings. So what it is ultimately about is it's based in fundamental knowledge about your GS subjects. So I'm going to say it. For example, if you have your optional as economics, the likelihood that you'll choose an essay which is about economics is very high because your fundamental knowledge about that topic is going to be better. Your knowledge be based in fundamental understanding of GS topics. It is necessary that it happens, but in addition, it is also necessary that you sort of deal with depth of the topic. Here, it's not necessary to as many perspectives as you can put forward. You know the depth of your topic. Why is this required? Is because it's ultimately going to be useful. You are somebody who is born in this country, you are somebody who is sort of from here, and so they're asking you about issues around you and trying to get how well you know those issues. So it's not about how many points of views you can put forward, it's about how much complexity you can unravel. Can you actually show how complex things are? For example, in country India, do you know that it is closely associated with class and caste and even religion? That certain individuals from certain castes and certain, let's say, religion do not get as much representation in politics as it should be. They do not get as much representation in leadership roles as they should. And so, do you have this idea about this complexity? Can you go in depth? And I'm just giving this one example, but then for each topic that you will have to write about, there is going to be certain amount of complexity that you have to unravel. Here you are dealing with a lot of complex ideas, and that's what is expected. So I've put it in red here, if you can see towards end of this slide, that what is expected here is depth, right? Now let's look at a section with essay topics which are philosophical or abstract in nature. Do you understand what is abstract? Abstract is something which sort of does not have a definite form or shape. In the sense, for example, as I was saying, ideas like beauty, ideas like truth, they are abstract ideas, and it is possible to philosophize these ideas. So it is possible to look at them from philosophical angles. Now here again, just because it is abstract in nature, just because it is philosophical in nature, it does not mean it doesn't need facts. Even these essays need to be rooted in facts. You need to know facts when you write these essays. Just because you're talking about truth or beauty or let's say justice, you cannot just like go spiritual on it. And one of the major confusion that a lot of people have, and especially Indians have, is thinking that everything that is spiritual is philosophical and vice versa. That's not true. So just because the topic is philosophical, it's not required that you get spiritual about it. But then there can be philosophical inquiry. As I said, studying more in depth about ethics is going to help you know do that better, know how to do that better. But then again, so I was saying there's another section where there are essay topics which are philosophical and abstract in nature. And the point that I was trying to say here is just because these topics are philosophical in nature, it doesn't mean that you don't require facts. You still require facts. You still require, knowing world around you, knowing how it functions. But here you need your opinions also, because these are abstract ideas, because these are ideas which do not, like economics, have definite conclusions. It is necessary that you have opinions. They need to be well formulated opinions. You still need arguments, you still need ways in which you are going to get your ideas across. But then you need opinions here. Now the next thing that you require here is references from India as well as world. Now let me say this point. For example, you are not going to say that, let's say, truth is an idea which is only discussed in India, or justice is an idea which is only discussed in India. These are ideas which sort of are universal ideas which are there everywhere, right? So in that sense, you need references from India as well as world. In fact, I'm going to even go ahead and say that more references you can give from all over the world, it's going to be better. And from where are you going to have these references? One is through your preparation. Maybe you are going to know more about world history when you prepare for UPSC. Maybe you have certain kind of reading habits. Maybe you have certain favorite authors, favorite books, or maybe there are certain kinds of movies that you like. Maybe some of you also watch world cinema. It's also going to be about who you are as a person. So it also might be about what kind of person you have become in all these years. So it's in fact a fantastic place where you can bring out who you are as a person, right? So this here, it is true that you still need to sort of refer to Indian milieu and Indian ethos, but then you need not restrict yourself to India. You can go well beyond that and sort of make your discussion not only pan India, but then you can make it very global in its tone. Here, compared to earlier section, you need more articulate use of language, because again, these are abstract ideas, philosophical ideas that you're discussing. Just knowing bare minimum language might not suffice, might not be enough. You need to know a little bit more when you discuss these ideas in terms of language. And again, as I was saying, if you are people who are preparing for 2022, right now is the right time to sort of start investing in improving your language, because even if you don't need it in earlier section, here you surely need it. It's going to help you again be seen and stand out from rest of the competition. The way we saw that the earlier section was based on fundamental knowledge about GS subjects. Here it is based in carefully made opinions based on your facts as well as experiences. For example, what do you let's say, what is your take on greed that human beings have? There can be facts about greedy human nature, but then there can be your experience also. Greed is something almost all of us have experienced in a very humane and in a very human interaction, right? We all have seen greedy human beings. At times we were those human beings, and so each person comes out with very unique way of looking at things like this. Or when we say character of a person, all of us have very unique understanding of how character of a person contributes to his or her position in life. And so all these things, you need to have careful observations about people around you, ideas around you, and again, your experience is going to contribute in sort of putting them in a good essay. Here, I would sort of summarize this in saying requires range of ideas. So for earlier section, if you require depth, here what you need to show is range. And so in a way, this is an opportunity, this is an invitation to show your range of ideas. Can you sort of look at one topic from, let's say, literature? Can you look at it from politics? Can you look at it from, let's say, human relationships? Can you look at the same topic from economics? So in a way, it's like a looking at the same topic from different angles, whereas in earlier section it's looking at few ideas but then in very detailed manner. So in this section, it's sometimes not possible to go in depth. One, because the topic and the ideas are very complex, and second, because that's not the aim of it at all. Now, if you understand that this is the demand of what they are asking you, that in one section they're again in the notification they're not saying any of this. This I have sort of telling you from years of experience of teaching it, going through topics, analyzing topics, what gets exactly asked, and then who are the students who end up getting better marks. And so it tells me that it's a in writing two essays in section A and section B, you are actually trying to strike a balance between showing how deep you can go for a topic and how well versed you are, how big is your range when it comes to presenting an idea. So this is what also is required in some sense when you write essays. Now we'll move on and see what are the desirable elements in any essay. Now when I say desirable elements in essay, this is not for any essay, this is specifically for UPSC essay. And this is what notification asks you and has said very clearly that you require these things in your writing. First is, they have said that you're required to understand the scope and extent of the subject. What do we mean by that? That look, right now 1200 words might seem like a big challenge, but when you would have prepared well for your GS topics, sometimes you might even know enough information and enough perspectives to write 3000 words, or sometimes even 5000 words, especially if it's your optional subject. You might know so much that on given topic you can write more than 3000 words. But however, you are not going to be able to write 3000 words, because like, again, this some of you might not know, like our college exams and school exams, you don't get any supplements here. There are specific space left for you and you have to write within that space. For one essay, they would have given you 10 sides of sheets. So for one essay they would have given 10 sides, and for another essay they would have given 11 sides. So whatever you have to say about one topic, you have to fix it in 10 pages, right? And so even if you know 3000 words, even if you have speed to write 3000 words, you are not going to be able to write 3000 words. In fact, as I said earlier, they have mentioned it very specifically that don't write more than 1200 words. Now, if you know a lot more than how much you are supposed to write, it ultimately comes with what you are going to select and what you are going to eliminate. Now, when you do this process of selecting points and subpoints and eliminating some points, are you getting what is exactly asked of you? Do you know what is the scope of this subject? Where is it, how far you can go in discussion, and where is it that you need to stop the discussion? Let me give you an example. For example, if the essay topic is let's say energy crisis in India, if this is the essay topic that you're writing, now the moment I say energy crisis, a lot of people are already thinking about solar energy, a lot of people are already thinking about alternate energy. while that is true, that's a solution to crisis. What they're asking you to write here is, what is the crisis, right? So you might as well write 1200 words just explaining what are the different kinds of you have to explain in depth what is the nature and gravity of the crisis, and giving solution is only going to be a very short part of your essay towards end. So do you understand that this, within the scope of this essay, you cannot write solutions? They are not asking you how to tackle with this crisis. They are asking you, do you understand what crisis is? And so uh, maybe if you have started reading newspaper, or if you have already a little serious about UPSC, you might have started reading newspapers. You might have come across this editorials where the whole editorial is dedicated so that readers can understand the issue. Now, energy crisis in India is that kind of essay where you are supposed to just write about what the issues are. Presenting solutions is not part of that essay at all. And when you say that, do you understand scope and extent of the subject, is if you are constantly giving solutions without actually going deep into understanding problems, then the reader is going to think, your evaluator is going to think, you don't even understand what the scope is or the extent of this subject is. I hope this was one of the examples that I think would clarify that. And so even with lot of practice, when you actually go there for exam and when you start writing under a lot of pressure, even if you have practiced dozens of essays, one can make a mistake for interpreting topic there. So it is very necessary that right from the beginning you keep it in your mind so that you don't land into a situation where this simple mistake of interpreting topic might happen. And so one needs to know that first thing is identify what is the scope of the subject, how far can you go while explaining something, and how quickly you need to finish some kind of discussion. So that is what they mean by scope and extent of the subject. When we actually discuss this in our batch, what I do is, there are four desirable elements. I actually spend a whole session at just understanding those four elements, because I think if you understand demands better, you can always supply accordingly. Because this is kind of a demand and supply kind of situation, right? If you understand well what their demand is, then you can supply. As we saw in earlier slide, if you know that in one section they're asking for depth, it is necessary that you supply that kind of deep discussion. But then instead, if you provided them range, even if your points are good, it's not going to be rewarded, because that's not what they're looking for. So again, scope and understanding scope and extent of the subject is the first thing that they're asking you to do. Second is your thought process. Now, here again, what do we mean by thought process? Here they want to know that the topic that is at your hand, how did you decide, how did you choose to write these few points? Because one topic can be written in 5 different manners, or sometimes even 10 different manners. So what was your thought process in choosing this particular manner in which you wrote, is what they're trying to look at. So for example, let me give you an example again. The subject that we discussed earlier, right? Challenges ahead of higher education in India. So in that subject, if you see, as I was saying, one can write a comparative essay, or one can write an essay which is chronological understanding. For example, you can write an essay which is about past, present, future. You can say that whatever happened in colonial past, whatever happened when British were here, and whatever policies they rolled out for higher education, still has an impact in how we understand higher education goals today. And then what happened during, let's say, globalization, how higher education changed during globalization during early 90s. And so what problems do we have, what challenges do we have ahead of us, are actually results of what colonial past and financial crisis in early 90s did to us, right? So in that sense, you could write also that. Or you could also say that what do we need to do so that we sort of qualify in all kinds of these these QS rankings are there for universities. So in higher education, none of the Indian universities actually rank very high in this rankings. So what do we need to do? Now again, all these thought processes are valid, but one needs to know which one you have chosen and why have you chosen. So uh, what they're asking you here to do is sort of explain what your thought process is sort of say that why you are saying is what you are saying, and that is what is also important. Now please understand here, what I want to say is, there is no one right thought process. It's just how well you can justify your own thought process. So let me say that many times you will have topics which are like boon or bane, myth or reality, this or that. There is no one right answer. It's not that all people who write myth get good marks and all people who write reality get bad marks. It's not like that. Many times topics will be such that there's no one right answer, and it ultimately depends on how you defend your thought. And so it's necessary that they know which thought you have chosen, which way of thinking you have chosen, right? So thought process also means a lot when you write essay in UPSC. Here I want to say one more thing. Look, there are going to be anywhere around 10,000 people writing this main exam, right? Now, there are 8 topics, but then my experience tells me that out of those 8 topics, 2 or 3 topics, almost everybody finds them difficult, and very few people end up writing them. So, most of the topics are those 5, 6 topics get written again and again and again. In that, 3 or 4 topics are written by most of the people because they're either easy or something related to current affairs or something that people have prepared earlier. So now you think about an evaluator who is reading your papers. He or she might actually read same topic for dozens of times. Do you think that information is where you can change things? Because if you have read a newspaper for 2 years sincerely, so has everyone else. If you have made good notes and if you have thoroughly gone through your current affairs notes, if you know your statistics well, mostly so has everyone else. Now, where is it that you can sort of stand out is by showing what do you do with that information. All this logging that you did, all the efforts that you put in, reading newspaper, collecting information, preparing well for current affairs, what do you do with that information is what matters a lot for thought process, right? So now, I also want to say here that while everybody has same information, how do you process that information is what they're trying to look at here. The third thing which is required here is clarity of thought and expression. So here, as I was saying, language is going to come and rescue you. If you know, if you sort of have clear understanding of flow of your thoughts, and if you can express them well, you are going to be rewarded for that. Again, because a lot of listeners here might want to write in English. Ultimately, their exams they might want to write in English. What happens many times is, again, we are made to believe that if you write long sentences, that will somehow impress your reader. While the reality is quite the opposite. When you write sentences which are too long, the reader might not take efforts to sort of take out the meaning of it. Because, as I said, the evaluator is already reading dozens of essays, right? So, it is your job to keep it lucid, it's your job to keep it complex yet easy to understand. And so all of this is responsibility of the writer, that you express in a manner that it's very easy for reader to understand. You cannot say, okay, look, I have written whatever I wanted to write, now you make whatever meaning you want to make. In fact, your writing should be such that there is no two meanings out of it. There should be only one clear meaning of what you are writing. And so writing long sentences actually do not impress any reader, but then in fact it just like makes things more complicated for the reader. Simple you write, shorter the sentences, better the impact is, right? So you also need to keep that in mind. um, and the last point that they have insisted on and that always gets mentioned in notification is originality of the student. This I feel is sometimes a deciding factor when people write essays, because each one of us is born and brought up in very unique socio-economic cultural conditions. And when you write an essay, you should not give any personal details, but an essay should be a reflection of your personality, and something that is original to you, something that only you can say, should come in your writing. because then what happens is, as I was saying, everybody has same information, but then your childhood, your process of growth only is going to sort of bring that originality. Now, when we talk about originality, it is not something that comes without any efforts. Like many times when we think about originality, people also think it is equal to spontaneity. Original ideas, it's sure that sometimes original ideas come through spontaneity, they come spontaneously, but in many times, in order to sound original, in order to be original, you need to take efforts on it. It's not like a light bulb moment when suddenly you will have a remarkable perspective to look at things. In fact, I'm also going to say it's very difficult to be original in terms of perspectives. You can be original in terms of solutions. Again, let me give you an issue. For example, let's say there is issue about communal tensions in our country, right? It can be it can be seen through like incidents of mob lynching. It can be seen through tolerance issues in our country. So there are communal tensions in our country. Now if I say give me a fresh perspective about communal tensions in India, it's very difficult to come up with a fresh perspective. Give me a new way to look at, sort of religious, how shall I say, religious friction in country. It's extremely difficult to come up with new perspective. However, if I ask you how to deal with communal tensions that we have, each of you might have brilliant ideas. Each of you might have ideas then that only you can have and nobody else can have, because you have led your life and nobody else has led your life. So in that sense, I always feel that when it is about giving solutions, you can be really really innovative, you can be really original. It takes a lot of time to have original perspective on things. I hope you understand what I mean by perspectives. Perspective is a way to look at things, a way to analyze something. So much has been written about communal tensions by academicians, by professors, by experts, by think tanks, that it's difficult that you or I are going to come up with a new way to look at those things. It requires immense amount of studying, efforts. Only then perhaps a person can think about perspective. But as I said, solutions, surely, why not? You can always have original solutions. Again, you need to be slightly bold here. You need to be slightly confident and assertive when you say things. Because again, as I said earlier, this is an exam where they are looking for decision makers. They are looking for people who can take quick decisions. And so it makes a lot of sense to show that you're capable of that, when even when problems are very complex and are experienced all over the country. You can have this unique way of sort of coming to solutions when you think about those problems, is something you want to convey through your essay, right? So these are the four things that are required in any essay that UPSC demands you to write. As I said in our first class, I actually spend a lot of time discussing all these 4 points. So anyway, when we get in actual classroom, we'll have more time to talk about it. Uh, Towards end, I want to show some common themes for essay topics. One is economy and Indian development. This is a topic which is very often asked, which is very regularly asked. I have put a couple of topics here. So there was a topic called poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. Or there was another topic called farming has lost the ability to be a source of subsistence for majority of farmers in India. So now here it is about, when you talk about farming, it is about specific sector. When you talk about poverty, it is about general understanding of economics. Topics are very wide in nature. I mean, it's not something very specific that only people who have studying economics will know. However, you cannot write it without studying economics, right? So it's not necessary that you have economics as your optional, but you need to know some fundamental ideas in that topic for sure. Economy and Indian development is something that I'm going to say this gets asked every year. Such topics get asked every year. Then you have education. Now, topics related to education do not get asked every year. I would say after every couple of years, I mean, every third year, maybe you have a topic about education. So this is not something that gets asked every year. And then again, you have education is something actually where they have asked specific topics also. Here, I might not have written, but then they have asked one topic about credit-based system. So you need to know specifics about what is credit-based system and so on. So, but then here you see the topics that I have put up on slide here. Destiny of a nation is shaped in its classrooms. So it's a very sort of wide understanding of education, that education plays a major role in nation building, and what nations ultimately become of themselves is because of the kinds of classrooms that they have. And so this was one year. Then another year, the topic was education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make a man more clever devil. So this is again, if you have understood values, and in fact, if you have studied values in ethics in detail, you might be able to put 2 plus 2 together. And then if you know enough about education, then again you would see this is about education. This is about a sort of a GS topic, but then higher order thinking is required because they're asking you about values. And value in itself is an abstract idea. It's not something that you can sort of measure in kilograms or liters, right? So you need understanding of and certain opinions, well formulated opinions of how you look at value or value systems, and then put it together with education, and then you have this topic to write about. So this is education. Then you have Indian democracy, society, culture. This again is very commonly asked. If not every year, every alternate year, they will have a topic about it. Something related to democracy, something about something related to society. So right now I have put only one topic here because there are many topics that get asked. Is the growing level of competition good for the youth was one topic. Then there was topic about media. Then there is topic about let's say sports. One year they had asked that can we get 50 gold medals in Olympics. So there were a lot of topics which are generally about society, culture, and specific topics about democracy also. For example, they have asked topics like has Indian democracy delivered its promise? So they have also asked topics like this. So this is again a very common theme. Ideas like, let's say, joy or even gratitude are not ideas that are easy to write about in 1200 words. Especially in topic like this, you have only two keywords. One is joy and one is gratitude. To be able to write 1200 words based on this, you need certain understanding of topic, and plus you also need higher order thinking. You need language which can be sort of which will come rescue you. So it's not very easy to write about this topic. This was also asked recently. Then you have customary morality cannot be a guide to modern life. One year, I think 2018, a lot of topics in this section were heavily about morality and values, and something that you would draw from ethics. But then again, it doesn't happen every year. This was again not so easy topic to write about. But then if you have studied well for your ethics, you should not have found much problems here. Reality does not conform to the ideal but confirms it. If you see here, the only difference here is ideas of conforming and confirming. If you see spelling, there's only one letter, which is O and I, which is different here. But then the whole idea of realism and idealism is what you're supposed to know. Again, when we study writing about philosophical essays, we are actually going to study all these ideas. We are going to study naturalism, realism, idealism, because all these ideas help you philosophize certain topics, philosophize certain ideas. So we are going to study all of these things, so it becomes easy for you to tackle these ideas, right? So as I was saying, this is a whole section in itself. The whole section is about philosophical topics or code-based topics. Then you have polity and public administration. As I said, there was this topic, cooperative federalism, myth or reality. By the way, polity and public administration is also asked very often. So some years they ask about society, culture, and democracy, and the next year they'll ask about polity and public administration, and sort of they'll keep altering between these two. So every now and then you will have topic either about democracy, governance, society, or about administration, polity, or something related to that. So these topics feel similar, but then once you start studying, you will see there is major difference in them. Then you have science and technology. This is another topic which does not get asked very often. This gets asked after every 2 years, like education. Again, if you see overall list of topics for science and technology, it must not be more than 10 topics, I think, not even 10 maybe. This came recently, alternate technologies for a climate change resilient in India. So here you are supposed to talk about alternate technologies, which will improve resilience. Again, a lot to unpack here. It's not something which they're saying that what technologies will help us cope up better with climate change. They're actually asking about how do we improve resilience. So resilience is being able to stand tall even in the time of duress. So it's something where you are prepared for the worst, and what are the technologies that will prepare you for the worst few outcome of climate change. So that was what generic topics also. Science and technology is the panacea for the growth and security of the nation. Panacea is sort of cure all or cure for everything. So is science and technology one cure for all perils, is kind of the question here. And last is women empowerment. This again gets asked every alternate year or every after 2 years. It's not as often as economics or polity here. Fulfillment of new woman in India is a myth. This was topic, I think, which was asked in 2016. So these are the topics. Anybody who is preparing ahead needs to know these eight common themes. And in fact, what you can do is note down these eight themes, and you can, whenever now you read newspapers, whenever you sort of are preparing for GS, always keep in mind at the back of your mind these eight themes. So anything you come across about these eight things, you can sort of understand that this might be helpful sometime in future to write about when you are writing essays. So these are the eight themes that you should always keep in mind. They're always going to help you understand things better. Now, I'm going to spend a few minutes in speaking about what is it that you should do right from this moment, because a lot of you might be still doing your graduation. A lot of you might be still, just trying to understand what UPSC is, and you might not be like sort of very sure about what is it. But then we are trying to understand what is it that you can do right now. One of the things that you can do is read newspapers, read them better. Know that there are these eight topics which are going to be asked for your essays. And if you have that kind of understanding that these are the topics, and look, any topic which have been asked for UPSC does not go beyond these eight categories. All topics that have been asked in all these 25, 27 years can be categorized into these eight sections, which makes your job easy, right? Because then you don't need to worry about, oh, will there be a topics about something that I'm not aware about. That's not going to happen. That they are going to stick to this bill, they're going to stick to this idea, and topics are always going to be about these eight sections. You can actually have a notebook, make eight sections in it, and whenever you read any statistics, any data, any information about which is relevant to one of these sections, go there and write it down. One caution that you need to exercise is, please do not start writing perspectives or opinions here, because you might be sort of maintaining this notebook for over a year, and towards end of the year even you can't tell which opinion is going to be useful where, or something that you read 1.5 years ago, you might not even be able to sort of remember why did you write it. So one of the best things to write is to write down statistics, is to write down data. And when you write down statistics or data, what happens is you can always refer to it better if you write the source from where you took the data. So for example, if you read certain kind of statistics and it was said that this was from this census, or something that a certain study UN conducted. So if you know from where the data is coming, because when you actually write essays, you are always going to have to write those points as well, that from where are you getting all your facts, from where are you getting your information. and you can actually start maintaining a notebook. You can actually start understanding that essays are always going to be about these 8 sections, and that also can help you a lot in your preparation, because the awareness, the very fact that you're aware that these are the points that are going to be asked might help you. Another thing is, for your, if some of you are still in colleges, some of you are still about to finish your graduation, and if you have any opportunities to write essays in your academic life, please write, and please make an effort and write more meaningful, more analytical, more logical essays. So if you have a choice between choosing something very simple over choosing something slightly difficult, go for something slightly difficult without risking much, because this is sort of your playground, right? Where for exams that you are going to score well, exams that that subjects are not going to be as tough as UPSC, but then your writing can be as good as what UPSC demands. So even for one, it's choose difficult subjects. Second, even if subjects are not difficult, try and write with standards slightly set higher than what you would otherwise go for. And as I was saying earlier, surely start taking your efforts on improving language. Many of you who have even, let's say, studied in English medium schools, studied in convents, might know English, which is enough for when you have had help by mugging it up or knowing it by heart. But then having a very good active vocabulary where you can use a lot of words, a lot of phrases that you come across regularly is a different thing. A lot of us have very good passive vocabulary. What do I mean by passive vocabulary? Is we know words and their meanings, and a lot of them, but when it actually comes about speaking or writing, we use very limited vocabulary. So our active vocabulary is very limited and our passive vocabulary is very huge. One of the efforts that you need to take is convert your passive vocabulary to active vocabulary. So all the words, all the phrases that you're sure about the meaning of, and you just don't use it because it's not a habit, or for some other reason you have some inhibition in using it, put it into your active vocabulary. Start using kinds of constructions of sentences that you are not very comfortable with, but you're sure about their meaning. And all of this small steps in preparation will take you a long way if you start from right now. Right. So there are a lot of other things. We have a batch coming up from 1st of December. Again, in that we start about essay writing very early in the course, and so you can also start preparing very early. So I hope some of you I'll surely see in the classroom where we get to discuss all of these ideas in more detail. That's all from my side. Again, as I said, we have a batch starting from 1st of December. It's an integrated batch. We are going to cover all parts of exam scheme there. And let us hope we see some of you in actual classroom. We have a lot more to discuss about essays. I think through the presentation and all the time that we spoke, one thing I want to make very clear is it's not the essay writing that we did in schools and colleges. It needs much more effort. It needs much more preparation from your side. And essay writing is something where your return on investment is very high. So if you invest from right from the beginning, and even in small amounts, ultimately when you write your essays in final exam, when you in your own main exam, it's going to, in terms of marks and in terms of maturity that you're going to gain through the preparation for essay, is going to be a lot more changing factor in terms of marks and in terms of position that you're going to secure in this exam. So I hope these are the two main points that I could drive home, and then you have understood it. I have nothing more to say. Let's see you in class, right? That's all. Thank you so much.
Subscribe the Unique Academy's YouTube channel and press the bell icon for latest updates and videos.